Dexter Darnell Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of capital murder in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas.
It wasn't really fair where a victim statement has all types of procedural restrictions.
But with justice, what it means is that the penalty for this crime is death.
I'm going to meet you in the jury room.
All rise.
They want justice, and the justice is the death penalty.
Dexter Johnson's case. The planned ending of Dexter Johnson, scheduled for Thursday, was abruptly halted by a federal judge on Tuesday. The judge cited the recent assignment of a new attorney to Johnson's case, who has not had sufficient time to thoroughly investigate the complexities of the case, including potential failings by Johnson's earlier legal representation. Johnson, aged 30, was condemned to demise following the tragic demise of Maria Aparici and Hoi Ngo in Harris County back in 2007. At the age of 18, Johnson, along with 4 other teenagers, committed a heinous crime, carjacking and robbing the couple before subjecting them to unspeakable horrors in a secluded area. Court records reveal that Johnson physically misconducted with Aparici before he and another teen brutally shot both victims. State records describe these demises as part of a larger crime spree spanning 25 days, during which Johnson and his accomplices were involved in a series of robberies that resulted in the slayings of 5 individuals.
I'm going to meet you in the jury room.
All rise.
In a capital murder case, they want justice, and the justice is the death penalty.
Mr. God! Mr. God! See you, ladies and gentlemen.
Essentially, there was an early period where the court really took a hard look at the statutes.
Recent appeals filed by Johnson's long-standing attorney argued that he is intellectually disabled, rendering him ineligible for the demise penalty. This claim referenced a 2017 U.S. Supreme Court ruling that invalidated Texas' previous method of determining such disabilities. Although a new evaluation indicated an IQ of 70, typically indicative of intellectual disability, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals denied the appeal, citing earlier IQ tests conducted before his trial that yielded higher scores. However, on Tuesday, a federal court intervened, halting Johnson's ending due to the recent appointment of a new attorney tasked with investigating potential appellate issues and any misconduct by his previous lead attorney. Johnson had requested a new lawyer in January, alleging that his current attorney, Pat McCann, had failed to adequately communicate with him and had a conflict of interest. In his ruling, U.S. District Judge Alfred Bennett emphasized the need for additional time to thoroughly review Johnson's case, particularly in light of new evidence presented by the newly appointed attorney, Jeremy Sheppers. Sheppers asserted significant evidence of ineffective counsel by McCann and potential flaws in Johnson's demise sentence, including his likely qualification as intellectually disabled. The stay of ending, granted for 90 days following the appointment of the new attorney, provides a temporary reprieve for Johnson. However, Harris County prosecutors remain steadfast in their pursuit of justice, expressing confidence that Johnson's demise sentence will ultimately be carried out. In response to the ruling, McCann expressed his desire for a collaborative effort with the newly appointed attorney to strengthen Johnson's case. He highlighted the importance of affording Johnson the opportunity to establish his intellectual disability and expressed relief that his client had been spared, albeit temporarily. Last-minute reprieve. Less than 24 hours before his scheduled ending, Texas inmate Dexter Johnson received an unexpected reprieve when a federal appellate court intervened, halting his impending demise sentence. The court's decision to stay the ending came in response to newly raised claims of intellectual disability, adding a dramatic twist to Johnson's long-standing legal battle. Throughout his legal ordeal, Johnson has steadfastly maintained his innocence, asserting that he is intellectually disabled and therefore ineligible for the demise penalty under U.S. Supreme Court precedent. The issue of intellectual disability has become a focal point in Texas demise penalty law, particularly following the landmark case of Bobby Moore. After years of legal wrangling, the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately invalidated Texas' method of determining intellectual disability and ruled that Moore had demonstrated his eligibility for exemption from the demise penalty. Johnson's claims of intellectual disability were previously raised in April appeal, which was rejected by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. However, a new attorney representing Johnson introduced fresh evidence in both state and federal court filings, highlighting recent IQ and neuropsychological tests that indicated Johnson's IQ fell below the threshold of intellectual disability.
Dexter Darnell Johnson, the jury has found you guilty of capital murder in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas.
It wasn't really fair where a victim statement has all types of procedural restrictions.
Give the victim a presence in the court and the justice system, a voice, a face.
Additionally, the attorney cited severe language limitations and a pronounced stutter as further evidence of Johnson's cognitive impairment. The introduction of new evidence and evolving medical standards regarding intellectual disability prompted Johnson's legal team to reassert his claim in hopes of securing a reprieve from his demise sentence. Despite the state court's dismissal of Johnson's appeal on Tuesday, the federal appellate court took swift action, issuing a stay of ending on Wednesday evening, mere hours before Johnson was scheduled to face the ultimate punishment. The decision to halt Johnson's ending underscores the complexity of gravity of capital punishment cases, particularly when issues of intellectual disability are at play. Johnson's case serves as a poignant reminder of the need for thorough examination and consideration of all available evidence before irreversible decisions are made in matters of life and demise. As Johnson awaits further proceedings on a potential re-evaluation of the case, the legal community grapples with the implications of his claims and the broader questions surrounding the administration of justice in demise penalty cases. The last-minute reprieve offers a glimmer of hope for Johnson and his supporters while also highlighting the ongoing challenges and moral dilemmas inherent in the application of capital punishment. Justice deferred. The case of Dexter Johnson, a Texas inmate facing the demise penalty for his involvement in a horrific double slaying, has garnered widespread attention due to recent developments that have halted his scheduled ending. Less than 24 hours before Johnson was set to face the ultimate punishment, a federal appellate court intervened, staying his ending and sending his case back to the district court to investigate newly raised claims of intellectual disability. This last-minute reprieve has injected a sense of urgency and complexity into Johnson's legal battle, prompting a closer examination of the intricacies involved in capital punishment cases and the pursuit of justice. Central to Johnson's appeals is the assertion of intellectual disability, a factor that, if proven, would render him ineligible for ending under U.S. Supreme Court precedent.
And the inmates' witnesses are kept separate. They're never allowed to mingle.
But with justice, what it means is that the penalty for this crime is death.
Johnson's claims of intellectual disability have been bolstered by recent evaluations and tests, indicating that his IQ falls below the threshold typically associated with such disabilities. Furthermore, his attorneys have pointed to severe language limitations and a pronounced stutter as additional evidence of cognitive impairment. These assertions have underscored the evolving nature of medical standards and diagnostic criteria for intellectual disability, prompting a re-evaluation of Johnson's case in light of these developments. The legal landscape surrounding intellectual disability and the demise penalty in Texas has been shaped by the landmark case of Bobby Moore, which highlighted the inconsistencies and shortcomings of the state's approach to determining intellectual disability. Following a series of legal battles, the U.S. Supreme Court ultimately invalidated Texas' method of assessing intellectual disability and affirmed Moore's eligibility for exemption from the demise penalty. In the wake of this ruling, Johnson's attorneys have seized upon the opportunity to challenge his demise sentence on similar grounds, arguing that his intellectual disability should preclude him from facing ending. Despite the compelling arguments put forth by Johnson's defense team, the road to justice has been fraught with obstacles and setbacks. Previous appeals to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals were met with rejection, signaling the challenges inherent in navigating the state's legal system.
This court hereby assesses your punishment of death. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is going to complete your jury service.
You'd want to search the inmate and make sure he doesn't have a weapon so that he couldn't do damage to himself, or
which would make the injection process longer and much more painful.
However, the recent intervention of the Federal Appellate Court has breathed new life into Johnson's case, providing a glimmer of hope for him and his supporters. The decision to stay Johnson's ending underscores the importance of thorough examination and consideration of all available evidence in capital punishment cases. In matters of life and demise, the stakes are high, and the need for fairness and due process is paramount. The complexities of Johnson's case highlight the inherent flaws and disparities within the criminal justice system, particularly concerning issues of intellectual disability and the imposition of the demise penalty. As Johnson awaits further proceedings and a potential re-evaluation of his case, the quest for justice continues. The legal community must grapple with the ethical and moral implications of capital punishment, striving to ensure that decisions about life and demise are made with the utmost care and scrutiny. Johnson's case serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities and challenges inherent in the pursuit of justice and the ongoing need for reform and accountability within the criminal justice system. Only through a steadfast commitment to fairness and equity can the promise of justice be realized for all individuals, regardless of their circumstances. That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.